You want to know what happened on Alcatraz? Fine, but I'm warning you, this isn't one of those stories with a clean ending. Nothing in my line of work ever is. It started like most of my assignments do, with Hunnigan's voice crackling through my comm unit while I was trying to enjoy what passes for a day off in San Francisco. Field operations support never sleeps, and apparently, neither do I. Leon, we have a situation, she said, her tone all business. Dr. Antonio Taylor, DARPA researcher specializing in robotics and AI. He's been selling classified information to foreign powers. Let me guess, you want me to bring him in quietly. The SFPD had him cornered, but he was kidnapped before they could make the arrest. We need him alive, Leon. Whatever information he has, we can't let it fall into the wrong hands. I sighed. After everything I'd been through, Raccoon City, Spain, China, you'd think a simple extraction would be a walk in the park. You'd be wrong. I was tracking Taylor's kidnappers through the streets of San Francisco when I spotted their van. I accelerated, my bike roaring beneath me as I closed the distance. I was seconds away from intercepting them when she appeared. A woman, moving with the kind of precision that only comes from serious combat training, stepped directly into my path. I had to swerve hard, the bike skidding as I fought to maintain control. By the time I recovered, the van was gone, and I was face to face with someone I'd hoped never to see again. Maria Gomez, I said, recognizing her immediately from the New York incident the year before. Her father, Diego, had died in that mess with Glenn Arias. I'd been there. I'd watched it happen. Still, she managed to escape, disappearing into the chaos of the city while Taylor got further away. While I was chasing Taylor, Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine were dealing with their own crisis. I didn't know it at the time, but our investigations were about to converge in the worst way possible. Chris had been looking into a series of deaths across San Francisco. Victims were dying from what appeared to be T-virus infections, but there was something different about this strain. Rebecca Chambers, the BSA's biochemistry expert, confirmed it was advanced, more refined than anything they'd seen before. Meanwhile, Chris's sister Claire was investigating deaths in the bay. Whales, orcas, massive sea creatures being torn apart by something. When they examined the wounds and ran tests, they found the same T-virus strain. Everything pointed to one location, Alcatraz. Chris, Jill, and Claire decided to investigate, posing as tourists. I got word that Taylor had been spotted in the same area, so I was heading there too. None of us knew we were walking into a trap. Alcatraz, the Rock, one of America's most infamous prisons, now a tourist attraction. Seems almost poetic, doesn't it? Turning a place of suffering into a place people pay to visit. But on that day, history was about to repeat itself in the worst way imaginable. I arrived after the chaos had already started. The island was in full outbreak mode. Tourists screaming, running, dying. Zombies shambled through the corridors, their grotesque moans echoing off the stone walls. But these weren't ordinary zombies. They moved faster, more aggressively. Whatever strain of the T-virus this was, it was efficient. I was tracking Taylor's kidnappers through the underground sewers beneath the prison when I heard movement behind me. I spun, gun raised, ready to fire. It was Jill Valentine. If there was anyone I wanted watching my back in a bioterror situation, it was one of the original STARS members. Then let's move together. Two sets of eyes are better than one. That's when we encountered them. Lickers, but not like any I'd seen before. These were different, adapted for amphibious environments. Amphibious lickers, someone called them later. They were faster in the water, their elongated tongues whipping through the air with deadly precision, their exposed brains pulsing with each movement. The fight was intense. In the confined space of the sewers, every movement mattered. Jill and I moved in sync, covering each other, our weapons barking in the darkness. Nice shooting, I said. You too, she replied. Come on, let's keep moving. We eventually reached what looked like an old armory, deep in the prison's bowels. The room was filled with equipment, weapons, and something else. Blueprints spread across a table. Jill and I examined them closely. What the hell? I muttered, looking at schematics for some kind of drone technology. These are mosquito-like drones designed to deliver viral payloads, she said. So that's how the victims were infected, not through bites, but through these drones. They're microscopic bioweapons. Before we could process this further, we were surrounded. Armed men appeared from the shadows, weapons trained on us. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and in no position to fight our way out. That's when I saw him, a man walking with a cane, his movements deliberate, his eyes cold and calculating. Dylan Blake. Blake began to explain his plan, and with each word I realized we were dealing with someone who'd been broken by the same horrors we'd faced. He told us about Raccoon City, about being part of an umbrella security unit sent in to evacuate executives while civilians died. He told us about watching his team get infected, about being ordered to execute them, and he told us about his best friend, JJ, how he'd been forced to kill him after he'd been bitten. I did what I was told, Blake said, his voice tight with emotion. I followed orders. I killed my brothers in arms because the people in power said it was necessary. And for what? So corrupt politicians and greedy corporations could continue their games? That wasn't our fault, Chris said firmly. We've been fighting against... Fighting, Blake laughed. You're their pawns, all of you. You think you're making a difference, but you're just perpetuating the cycle. Umbrella falls, another corporation arises. You stop one bioterrorist, 3 more appear. The system is rotten, and you're too blind to see it. I'm going to give you all the same choice I had, Blake said, looking directly at Jill. Watch your friends die, just like I watched mine. That's when he deployed the drones on us. I felt them, tiny needle pricks across my skin, injecting the virus directly into my bloodstream. The sensation was immediate, a burning that spread through my veins, my vision starting to blur, my thoughts becoming sluggish. This was it. After surviving so many outbreaks, so many impossible situations,
I was going to turn into one of those things. Blake and Maria left us to die, confident in their victory. They were activating the final phase of their plan, releasing millions of biodrones across the globe. But Blake had made a critical mistake. He'd underestimated Rebecca Chambers, who'd come to the island with a SWAT team. The team hadn't made it. They'd been killed by some kind of aquatic bioweapon, a massive shark creature mutated by the T-virus. But Rebecca had survived, and more importantly, she'd brought the cure. Rebecca rushed to our cell, her medical kit in hand. It was like being pulled back from the edge of an abyss. "Leon," Rebecca's voice cut through the fog. "Leon, can you hear me? You're going to be okay." We'd been seconds away from turning, but Rebecca had saved us. "Thank you," I managed to say, my throat raw. I forced myself to my feet, still weak but functional. The virus had been purged, but I could feel its lingering effects in my system. I found Maria in one of the prison corridors. She was waiting for me, I think. Some part of her wanted this confrontation, this final showdown between us. The fight was brutal and personal. We exchanged gunfire, ducked behind cover, engaged in close combat when our weapons ran dry. Maria was skilled, trained by some of the best mercenaries in the world, but she was fighting on emotion, on grief and rage. I was fighting to survive, to protect the people counting on me. We grappled hand to hand, trading blows in the confined space. She was strong, fast, but I'd been doing this longer. I'd fought cultists in Spain, BOWs in China, monsters that would haunt anyone else's nightmares for life. The end came quickly. Maria lunged at me with a knife, a desperate final attack. I sidestepped, using her momentum against her. She stumbled, and in that moment of imbalance, she fell onto a piece of broken machinery, metal protrusions piercing through her body. I stood there for a moment, catching my breath, looking down at another life ended by this endless cycle of violence and revenge. I heard weapons fire in the distance. The others needed me. We all converged at the island's docking area. 5 survivors of countless horrors, standing together for what might be our final battle. Blake was there, but he wasn't alone. He'd merged himself with that shark bioweapon, creating something new, something grotesque. The creature that rose from the water was massive, a fusion of human and aquatic monster. Blake's face still recognizable but twisted, his body a nightmarish combination of flesh and mutation. It was one of the most durable BOWs I'd ever seen. "This is for JJ," Blake's voice boomed from the creature, distorted but still carrying that edge of madness. "For everyone Umbrella destroyed, for every life the powerful threw away." The thing attacked with devastating force. We scattered, weapons firing, but our bullets barely slowed it down. I unloaded an entire clip into its torso. Nothing. Chris hit it with an explosive round. It barely flinched. "We need bigger guns," I shouted over the chaos. Jill found a plasma rifle, one of those experimental weapons BSAA sometimes deployed. The thing was powerful but had a short range and took time to charge. She lined up the shot, the weapon humming as it built up energy, then fired. A brilliant blue beam struck Blake's mutated form, burning through flesh and sending it reeling. But it wasn't enough. The creature recovered, letting out a roar that shook the very foundations of the dock. "We're not going to win with firepower alone," Rebecca called out. Then her eyes lit up. "The drones! We can use Taylor's bypass code to control Blake's own biodrones." Claire was already on it. She and Rebecca worked together, hijacking the drone network and redirecting millions of the microscopic bioweapons towards Blake's mutated form. The effect was immediate. The drones swarmed the creature, injecting concentrated doses of the T-virus directly into its system. Even a bioweapon had limits, and Blake's creation was being overloaded, the virus multiplying beyond what even its enhanced cells could handle. The creature slowed, its movements becoming erratic, systems failing as the viral load became catastrophic. "Now!" Chris shouted, "while it's weak." He and I grabbed a massive rocket launcher, the kind that requires 2 people to operate. Chris hefted the rear section while I aimed, the weapon heavy even between the 2 of us. "You ready?" Chris asked. "Always." "Then let's end this." We fired. The rocket streaked across the dock, trailing smoke and fire, and struck Blake's mutated form dead center. Blake was gone. His vendetta, his pain, his misguided attempts to save the world by destroying it. All of it ended in fire.
Hey, if you like the way I tell my stories, please subscribe to the channel. I've got many more stories for you.